Right. First card in blue. I think I like white, by the way. I like white when it does token stuff. I don't like white when it tries to do a bunch of, like, control-y bullshit. But this is all very tokeny spam, and I like tokeny spam, so I like what white's doing in this set. Azure Beastbinder. 2 mana for a 1/3 with vigilance that can't be blocked with creatures with power 2 or greater. Okay. And whenever it attacks, up to one target artifact, creature, or planeswalker an opponent control loses all abilities until your next turn. If it's a creature, it also has base power and toughness 2/2 until your next turn. Or you can just PayPal me €5. I don't think a penta's worth that much. It's alright, we'll get you another one. It'll be fine. We'll get you another 8-truck penta. It'll be great. I mean, this guy's pretty good. 1/3 with vigilance, can't be blocked, can keep poking your opponent, and also crippling something they control so they can't use it on their turn. Like, if you do this to a planeswalker, it loses all of its loyalty abilities. And because it's until your next turn, their planeswalker is essentially useless as long as this can keep attacking. Or you could just turn their huge giant monster creature into a 2/2 that can't do anything till your next turn. Like, I think this is good control. I think this is pretty good, actually. Like, it's different. I'm not a big fan of blue because I want to beat my opponent in the face rather than play mind tricks on them. But yeah, I think this is pretty good. Just generically, probably really good, actually. I haven't seen the rest of blue, but I think this is really good. Bellowing Crier, a 2 mana, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. Yeah, sure. It's fine. Whatever. I'm never too excited about cards like this. It depends how much you care about drawing, but it's fine. It filters your hand. Probably good. Calamitous Tide. 6 mana sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hand. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Very expensive, but I don't know. For six, I want to return all creatures, not just 2. I don't know if I care. I know you get to draw cards out of this one, which is usually nice, but like, this is just, it's just, I don't know. It's just not great. It's like two mediocre abilities stapled together. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's like blue removal and maybe you want it. Maybe you're like controlling until you get to this point and then you're just bouncing stuff to your opponent's hand. But it just seems so mediocre. Like 2 creatures, draw 2 cards, discard 1, so you only 1 card up. It's just so mediocre, right? Whatever. It's average at best. Daring Wave Rider. 6 mana again. God, you think for a lot of mana. Otter Wizard. When Daring Wave Rider enters, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put to your graveyard, exile it instead. Okay. I will say, it's very overpriced, but recasting instant or sorcery could be good. It depends what instants and sorcery, because you can't do Calamitous Tide. Depends what good 4 mana instants and sorceries there are. Maybe there's like a really good burn one in red. Maybe there's like a nice draw one in blue or something. We haven't seen any 4 mana like In white, there's the destroy spell, but like, I don't really know. It's very overpriced. We'll have to see. I understand why they had to make it 6, because they're doing an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 4 or less from the graveyard. I don't know. Like, again, we haven't seen any 4 or less mana spells that are like super exciting. There's a couple of pieces of removal, which is fine, but it's 6 mana 4/4. Like we had in white, we had 4 mana 4/4s that do a hell of a lot more. We had where was, I mean, this is a 4 mana 3/3 flying. This is literally 4 mana for an on the ground 4/4. Doesn't have evasion. Who the fuck is Nicol Bolas? The bad guy. Well, he's dead now, but the bad guy of Magic. The evil guy of Magic. He's one of the ancient elder dragons, and he's an asshole. But yeah, I think this guy kind of dookie. Oh, that was not what I wanted. That was the wrong thing. This way. Dazzling Denial. 2 mana, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Control a bird, counter that spell unless its controller pays 4 instead. Sure. I'm never particularly excited. I don't like counter spells in Limited. I think you can't get enough of them to actually make it worthwhile. But saying that, I will 100% run into this card in my draft or in my pre-release. I'll be playing some giant monster stompy guy that's going to win me the game, and it'll get countered because I left no mana open, and I'll be upset. But hey, it'll be fine. Dire Downdraft. 4 mana for an instant. Spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets an attacking or tapped creature. Puts it on top of the box. Okay, so this is fine. This is just, you know, blue removal. Usually it costs 4 for this effect, so it costing 3 if you're doing an attacking or tapped creature means it's slightly better than average. So I'll say this is good-ish. I mean, blue removal kind of sucks ass anyway, but this is fine. Blue removal is more like tempo. It's not actually removal, which is always the problem. But yeah, this is fine. Dour Port Maid. Okay. 2 mana for a 1/3. Whenever one or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield without dying, draw a card. And for 2 mana, tap, return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. Is this good? I don't think in Limited it is. I think in Limited it might be a bit slow. I think if you're returning a creature to your hand, unless that creature has a really good effect, you're just going to get your ass fucking beaten by your opponent. Usually. Like, if I'm playing green and my opponent is spending 2 mana and tapping a creature to return another creature to their hand, I'm like, oh, good, I can just absolutely murder you next turn. So I think because it's 2 mana and tap this and return the creature, you like have to replay the creature, or else you're just gonna get stomped all over. I don't know. It seems just a bit slow and limited, right? I mean, it is drawing you cards, but like it's essentially by itself. It is 2 mana, tap a creature, and remove a blocker, draw a card. Which is just, I wouldn't pay those. Would you if you had a spell that said instant speed, pay 2, tap 1 creature, and return another creature to your hand, draw a card, would you ever play that spell? No. Of course you fucking wouldn't. That seems ridiculous, right? That's so much. I don't know. Maybe it's good, but I hate this kind of thing. I feel like it's just you're just giving up so much for like maybe draw a card, and if you're really pressured by your opponent, just die horribly because you can't ever trigger this. Eddie Merc Crab. Holy big boy. 7 mana for a 5/5 with flash. Costs 1 less for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard. And it enters tapped if it's not your turn. And when it enters, you tap up to 2 target creatures. I think this card's great. I think this card's really, really good. Everything blue wants. I think it's good in limited. I think this card's great. But he's a frog wizard. He is a frog wizard, to be fair. He's not the lizard wizard. He's not what the lizard wizard we had, but we'll take a frog wizard. This is full AP Tom Kench. That's what this is. Yeah, I think this is great. Like, it's big. The biggest thing we've seen so far, I think. It's cheaper for instant sorcery cards, which Blue's going to be playing. You can't block with it if you play it on your turn, but on your opponent's turn. But if you play it on your opponent's turn, you can just tap down 2 creatures. I think this is good. I think this is actually one of the better blue cards I've seen. Like, weirdly, because it doesn't do anything exciting, but it's just kind of like thick. What are those? It's like in mono blue tempo for a long time. You're using the 5/5 ward. Cost 1 less for each card in your instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. The commons, I can't remember what they're called because I don't care for mono blue tempo. But yeah, looks very similar to that, but with upsides. So this is probably really good in limited. I think just good in general, yeah. What the fuck? Okay. Eluge the Shoreless Sea. I'm assuming that's how you say that first name. Is a 4 mana star. Power and toughness equal to the number of islands you control. So it's at least a 4 mana 3/3. Not bad. When it enters or attacks, put a flood counter on target land. It's an island in addition to its other types for as long as it has a flood counter on. Okay, so that means when you attack, you can make that extra 1 into an island as well, so it's at least a 4/4. The first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs blue, or 1, less to cast for each land you control with a flood counter on it. This card is gross. Like, if this doesn't get immediately answered, you've lost. Right? Like, you just have. So, turn 4, you play this. You've got 3 islands and 1 extra thing, whatever this is. As soon as it enters, you put the flood counter onto the extra land. So, it is also an island. This is a 4/4. Okay, so it comes in on turn 4 as a 4/4. Great, brilliant. Exactly on curve, that's what we want. Okay? If your opponent doesn't deal with it immediately, next turn, play an island. Play an island, it becomes a 5/5. You attack with it, you put a flood counter on another one. It's still just a 5/5, but the first instant or sorcery spell in your hand now costs 2 less, and that can be the colored mana or the non-colored mana. Like, that makes this just cost 4. This is free. This is 2. This is a scary good card. This is a scary good card if you get it rolling. If you're against a player that plays this and you don't immediately deal with it, you can guarantee that blue player's getting some fucking value. A lot of value. And, like, if this thing just keeps swinging and swinging, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and, like, the first instant or sorcery spell could just be free. Could be anything they want free after a couple of turns. This is a terrifying card. Looks like blue's getting some juice. Usually I don't like blue, but if I pull this in my draft, I'm fucking... in my pre-release, I'm playing blue. This thing's gross. Finch Formation. It is a 3-mana 2/2 flyer with Offspring 3, so you can make a copy. And when it enters, target creature you control gains flight. Till end of turn. Sure. I mean, I don't know why you'd pay the Offspring cost. I mean, I think this 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer that does something is fine. But an additional 3 mana, so 6 for a 1/1 flying token that does something is not anywhere near as good. I think if you you're at like 8, 9 mana and you're top decking and you pull this card, you offspring it. But I think most of the time you don't, and most of the time this card isn't particularly exciting. This is fine. It's not great. It's okay. Gossip's Talent. Okay, one of the new class enchantments. So for 2 mana, whenever a creature you control enters, surveil 1. Bad. For an extra 2, whenever you attack, target attacking creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. That's good for getting damage through. For an extra 4, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Sure. What are you going to want to do that with, though? I mean, I guess because when it enters, you get to put flood counters on things. This, because you tap things. Actually, there's actually a few. This, because it would be a bouncing creature that lets you draw cards. Okay, this is good. This is good. It works with a lot of things. The basic ability, the 2 ability, whenever you play a creature, surveil 1, great. One of your creatures can't be blocked, great. Whenever you deal combat damage, bounce for a lot of the cards, great. I think this is Gossip's Talent. I think is actually better than both of the white ones. I think this is just really good. Into the Floodmaw. Okay. 1 mana to gift a fish as well. Return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. If the gift was promised, instead return target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Okay. So this is another one I don't think you're ever really promising, right? You're probably just using this to bounce a creature, like regularly. This is 1 mana bounce a dude. This is fine. This is good. We like this in blue. So yeah, I think that's a good card. I'm not particularly excited, but yeah, it's good. It's 1 mana bouncer thing. If you want to give your opponent a fish, you can bounce anything better. But it's 1 mana bouncer dude, and that's the important thing. Hit Nap. Okay. It is 4 mana, gift card, sure. Enchant creature. When Hit Nap enters, tap enchanted creature. If the gift wasn't promised, put 3 stun counters on. And then you control enchanted creature. Okay. So this is a mind control effect for 4. Pretty cheap. But if you don't let your opponent draw a card, the creature that you mind control is just tapped for 3 turns. But that might be fine, right? Because if you're blue, you're probably just doing a whole bunch of value, draw, instant shenanigan stuff, and you're just using this to take your opponent's biggest creature so that it's not hitting you in the face. So I think this card's pretty good, actually. I'll give it an okay. I'll give it an okay. Yeah, I think this card is good. Blue's getting actually some good cards. Because this is, steal your opponent's biggest thing, and if you want to kill them with it, you can let them draw a card. If you just don't want it on the board, you just don't, and it just sits on your side stunned for a while. I think this is good. Oh my god. Pizza Otterball Elite. Okay, sure. A 2-mana 1/3 with vigilance and prowess. Okay, we're getting better. We're getting better. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. Tap 2 and tap. Copy target instant on sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if his power is 3 or greater. Interesting. Okay. I I think again, this is another one of those cards that it does a lot of finicky stuff, and I'm never sure how much I care about this sort of finicky stuff. This card is probably far and away higher than I'm thinking of it, because it's just got a lot of stuff that it does. It's a 2-mana 1/3. It has vigilance, so it can block and attack. It has prowess, so it can get bigger whenever you cast a spell. You can use it just to draw and discard if you need to filter cards out of your hand, like lands and stuff, in limited format. And if you do get it big enough, you can copy like a big, powerful spell. But it's a lot of little value-y things, and I'm not really sure how to evaluate that. It's not like gonna win a game by itself. Like this thing can win a game by itself. It's massive, it keeps growing, and it can make you pay essentially free spells. This thing wins you a game by itself. This guy just does like lots of little things. Like vigilance is good, prowess is always good, drawing cards, discarding a card is good. Copying a card can be game winning, but you have to get his power above 3. So you either have to enchant him with a buff spell, or you have to play 2 spells before the big spell to trigger his prowess twice, and then play the big spell, which you're planning on copying. I mean, the vigilance does mean you can attack while also doing the other effects, which is nice. But I'm really not sure about this one. I'm not sure what I'm rating it. I'm going to rate it good. I'm going to say good. I don't think it... I don't know. This is my problem with blue. There's a lot of cards like this that I'm just like, yeah, this seems generically good. And then, you know, blue becomes one of the best colors because it's got generically good stuff. Because you can just mix it with other colors and you just get generically good stuff. But, yeah, it's just generically good. Night Fisher. Okay, a 5-mana, 4/5 flyer. You're taking this because it's a big flyer. Whenever another non-token bird you control enters, create a 1/1 blue fish creature token. Yeah, this is great. This is, in limited, this is nuts. It's a big flyer that makes dudes. We love it. We're all about it. This is a great card. Light Shell Duo. A 4-mana, 3/4 with prowess, and when it enters, surveil 2. Sure. Like, this is fine. This is your 24th, 25th card. Again, this is a very sort of like, you know, pack filler. It's fine. It's just not particularly exciting. Long River Lurker. Okay. 3 mana for a 2/3 with Ward 1. Other frogs you control have Ward 1. And when it enters, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. And whenever that creature deals combat damage this turn, you may exile it. If you do, return to the battlefield. Okay. Depends how good other frogs are. I think, what have we seen that's a frog so far? Just the one? Just this frog wizard? I think. Oh, and the frog advisor. I guess this guy's also a frog. So if frogs all have enter the battlefield effects or things that they want to do with leaving and entering the battlefield, this guy's pretty good. How good is he in limited? Fine. I mean, the Ward 1 is annoying, especially if you've got a card that you really need to get rid of, but I haven't seen a frog yet that really makes me think you need to die. Like, all the frogs are just kind of mediocre in stats, and they don't really do that much. AP Tam Kench killing lots of Teemo is pretty lore accurate. Yeah, it's true. But I can't see this guy being... I mean, he's good if frogs are good. How good are frogs? Teemo's being the mice, yeah. Blue versus white is Tam Kench versus Teemo. But yeah, I just... Meh. Eh. I don't really do blue. Like I said, it depends how good frogs are. Long River's Pull. 2 mana, counter target creature spell if the gift was promised instead counter target spell. This, again, I don't like counter spells in Limited. I don't really care for them. I think they don't really do very much generally. But this is a card where I'm going to play some giant 6-drop green bomb and my opponent's just going to go, yeah, no. And then I'm just going to be upset. I'm not much of a blue player. So this card is probably better than I give it credit for, but, you know, meh. Actually, 2 mana for just a counter anything spell is really good. This is probably really fucking good, but in Limited, eh. Mind Spiral. Okay. 5 mana, gift a fish, sure. Target player draws 3 cards. If the gift was promised, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun count. This is okay. I think this is fine. I think. It's what? Draw 3 cards, give your creature a 1/1 so that you can tap down their big dude for a turn. It's not incredible. It's not bad. It's just kind of, again, it's fine. At least 5 mana is what we pay for draw 3 cards. So you're kind of just getting the extra bit as just the gift part. So this is fine. I think this is fine. Mind Whisker. Okay. 3 mana for a 3/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Okay. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, creatures your opponent control get -1/-. Okay. I mean, pretty good. Like, if you can get the threshold, everything your opponent has is just that little bit weaker. I mean, I don't know how much it matters because blue doesn't really have the strongest creatures. I mean, they had that big fish fly, that big kingfisher flyer. That was pretty good. Yeah, maybe this is better than I'm thinking. It's another one of those, like, hey, you get a value effect, and then look, you get a small minor payoff. Like, meh. I don't really like blue. Mockingbird. Okay. Is a 1 and X 1/1 flyer. You may have Mockingbird enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield with mana value less than or equal to the amount of mana spent to cast Mockingbird. Except it's a bird in addition to its other types and it has flying. Probably incredible. Probably just absolutely insane. Right? So for 1 mana more than whatever your opponent played for their best card, you can just make one that's flying. That sounds pretty good. I will take my opponent's best card, but with flying. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think this card is insane, right? Especially in Limited, you just... whatever the biggest creature your opponent has, it is that, but with flying. This has to be good. This has to be good. Yeah, I think this is just good. I think it just has to be so good. Night Whirl Hermit. Okay. Is a 3 mana 1/4 with vigilance. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, it's a 2/4 that can't be blocked. Pretty good, actually. Maybe rats have to do with a bunch of threshold stuff. But yeah, this becoming unblockable, you can just sort of whittle your opponent down while playing a bunch of control and draw spells. This is pretty good. Yeah, I think this is pretty good actually. Like, is it super good in limited? I think it's no, it's probably good in limited. Yeah, because you just have a way to guarantee to get damage through. Yeah, I think this is good. Otter Ball Antics. 2 mana to create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. If this spell was cast from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. And it has flashback. Okay. Not bad. I mean, it's not white level of token generation. It's instead of 1 mana for a 1/1, it's 2 mana for a 1/1, but this one comes with prowess. And when you flashback it for 4, it's actually a 2/2 with prowess. I think it's good. Not incredible, not terrible, just fine. Probably better than I think, to be fair. But again, it's another one of those like incidental value things that I just give me big stats. I want the big stats with all of the keywords, and I want to smash people with it. Pearl of Wisdom is your usual draw spell that costs less if you have an otter. Draw. How many otters have we seen? Those. Okay, actually, yeah, because you could Otter Ball Antics in the following turn. You could do this for 2. Draw 2 cards. Yeah, okay. This is probably good actually because you get there's probably a lot of ways to generate otters. Bloom Creed Escort, a 2 mana 2/1 with flash and flying, and when it enters target creature you control gains hexproof. Pretty good. Yeah, no, this is good because you just keep this thing in hand until your opponent tries to remove something. You give it hexproof, and then this is just another flyer. I like this card. This card's good. I would use as many of these as I could, I think. Portent of Calamity. Okay. 1 blue and X. Reveal the top X cards of your library. For each card type, you may exile a card of that type from among them. Put the rest into your graveyard. You may cast a spell from among the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you exiled 4 or more cards this way. Then put the rest of the exiled cards into your hand. So card types are land, creature, enchantment, instant, sorcery, artifact, planeswalker, battle. That's it. I don't know if battles even are a thing anymore. But, is that everything? Artifact, creature, and planeswalker, battle. So the idea is you play this for 5, and then you get the different types, and you get to get the 4 different types instantly. I mean, this can't be that bad, right? It's like a draw X spell essentially, but one of them you might cast. This is probably good. Sorcery speed in limited. I don't know how much I care for it in limited. I don't know, because this could hit, or it can just be a completely worthless spell. Like that's the 2 options. Like if this thing bings something absolutely incredible off the top, you are laughing. If you pay 7 mana and put 4 cards, like 3 cards into your hand, and don't hit, you're just there like, oh, guess I'll lose. So like, I wouldn't run it. Run away together. 2 mana instant. Choose 2 target creatures controlled by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hand. This is probably pretty good for blue, actually, because blue looks like it has a lot of things that, like the frogs, like being bounced, and your opponent's stuff obviously isn't going to want to be bounced. Instant speed, so you can do it on your turn. This is probably pretty good, actually. Weirdly. Season of Weaving. Oh, it's this module one. 6 mana for this one, sorry, with 5 modes. You can draw 5 cards for 6 mana. Yep, this is a good card. You can choose an artifact or creature you control, create a token that's a copy. You can do 2 of those and still draw a card. Or you can return each non-land, non-token permanent to its owner's hand for 3. So you can create a token that's a copy of an artifact or a creature and then bounce everything apart from that token. This card's good. It has to be. Like, there is some innate weakness, especially with the return each non-land, non-token permanent to its owner's hand. If you're up against, like, white weenie vomiting rabbit and mice and bat tokens everywhere, and you just go, I'll bounce shit, and then your opponent just swings for the fences, obviously there's some problems. But, like, 6 mana, draw 5 cards, blue is just giddy. Blue's giddy over this spell right now. And if you have the other mythic rare and you make it... I mean, there's no way you get 2 mythic rares. Well, there is a way. Yeah, you just make this cost less than 6. Imagine this costing like 4. 4 mana, draw 5 cards. It's just vomiting amount of fucking value. Like, this card has to be good. Just for the top one. Just pay 6 or pay 4 or pay an amount, draw 5 cards. Sure. Sure up, reprint. Good card though. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and hexproof until end of turn and it untaps so it can block. Very good. Reprint. Shoreline Looter. A 2 mana 1/1 that can't be blocked. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card unless 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. So if you have Threshold, this is just a 1/1 that can't be blocked that draws you a card every time it deals combat. That's pretty good. If you don't have Threshold, it helps you get to Threshold, which is also pretty good. So if you're doing like some rat Threshold business, this card is probably pretty fucking. I like this card. Sky Skipper Duo. Okay. This is a 5 mana 3/3 flyer. Again, it's flying, so you're probably just using it anyway. But exile up to 1 other target creature you control, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. I mean, you're just gonna run it, right? It's a flyer. It's overpriced, but it's a flyer, so sure. It's like trying to do 2 things because it's like part frog, so it wants to do like the bouncy thing, but it's also a bird, so it wants to do flying damage. I don't know. It's weird. I'd probably run it just because it's got flying, but like, eh. Spellgyre. Okay. For 4 mana, you can counter a spell. That's gross. That's overpriced as fuck. Or you can surveil 2 and then draw 2 cards. I mean, draw 2 cards, instant speed. I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's overpriced. Maybe it's good. I mean, it's flexible. That's the thing. Blue loves flexibility on a spell. Loves it. When they have like modal spells, blue gets all giddy because they can do. But this is like overpriced counter spell and then maybe on price draw 2 because it's instant speed. So because like draw 2 is usually 3 mana at sorcery speed, 2 mana if you have the thing that gives it the discount. This is 4 mana to draw 2 cards, but you can do it at instant speed and you get to surveil first. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. Splash Lasher. Sure. 4 mana, 3/3. When this creature enters, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it, and you can offspring it. So for 6, you can have a 3/3 and a 1/1 and tap and stun counter 2 things. Fine. Fine. It's not great. It's kind of expensive. But it's not terrible. It's just fine, I think. Splash Portal. For 1 mana, exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. That creature is a bird, frog, otter, or rat card. Fine. Again, another one of those, like, it's okay. I mean... Sorry, chat. It's 1 mana, re-trigger your enter the battlefield effect, and draw a card. It's probably pretty good, actually. It's probably pretty good. Storm Chaser's Talent. Okay, this is the exciting class. For 1 mana, create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. For 4 mana, return target instant sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Bit pricey, but okay. For 6 mana, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue and red otter creature token with prowess. That's really good. Okay. I think I'd run this just praying that you get to the 6. Because if you level 3 this thing, if you get to 6 mana and level 3 this thing, you're just gonna be vomiting value. Like every time you play this, you draw the extra card because you make an otter and you exile a creature and get the trick. Yeah, this is for blue. Blue loves this. The issue is it too expensive? And I don't know until I play it because I don't know how fast the set is. But I like this card. I would run this card. Is it good? I don't know. But I would run it because it's cool. And I'd love to have an army of otter creatures with prowess. Sugarcoat. For 3 mana, it's flash, which is good. Enchant creature or food. Enchanted permanent is a colorless food artifact. With tap 2, sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life and loses all other card types and abilities. So, it becomes a food. So I have no idea why you'd ever enchant a food with this, because it makes a food into a food. But this is, you enchant a creature on your opponent's side and the creature becomes a food. I don't understand why they let you put it on a food, because it makes a food into a food. Does nothing and just costs you 3 mana. I think. Am I missing something? Is there something this can do that's weird? But I mean, this is creature removal, so this is good probably. Good in blue. I would use this in, like, if you're in blue, this just does actually remove a thing because it turns a creature that's causing you issues into food. And then, you know, unless your opponent has enchantment removal, it just doesn't, they can't do anything. So, apart from sack it and gain life, and you're fine with that. Thought Shucker. Okay. 2 mana, it's a 1/3, and it has tap 2, put a +1/+1 counter on Thought Shucker and draw a card, but only if you've got 7 or more cards in your graveyard, and only once. Mediocre as fuck. Like, sure, 2 mana, put a 2 mana, draw a card is fine, and it gets counter. Not much of a payoff. It's not like unblockable or anything, and it's not. I don't know. These rat cards always seem to be very like, oh, get threshold for not much value. Thunder Trap Trainer is a 2 mana 1/2. When this creature enters, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of them at the bottom of your library in a random order. And you can offspring it for 4, so for 6 mana you can do that twice. It's a good card. Like, for 2 mana, 1/2 that has an enter the battlefield effect like that. Yeah, you'd probably run as many of them as you have. But it's not, you know, game-changing, winning craziness or like that. It's just fine. Valley Floodcaller is a 3-mana 2/2 with flash. You may cast non-creature spells as though they had flash. Okay. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, birds, frogs, otters, and rats you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. Untap them. This is good. This is as good for blue as the white one was for white. This is all of blue creatures get better whenever you do what blue wants to do, which is cast spells. If there's one of these for each of the colors, these are the cards you're looking for, right? These dictate which color you're in. Like, if you've got the white one, play white. If you've got the blue one, play blue. If you've got the green one, play green. If you've got the red one, play red. If you've got the black one, play black. That's it. That's what these cards say. Because they're that good. So, yeah, this is a great card. Does everything that blue wants. It has flash. It wants you to cast non-creature spells and lets you play them at flash speed, which is great. And whenever you cast something, it makes all of your dudes that you happen to be running because you're in blue better. Great. Waterspout Warden, a 3-mana 3/2. Whenever Waterspout Warden attacks, if another creature entered the battlefield under your control this turn, it gains flying. Sure. It's a good beater, I guess. I don't know. It costs 3 mana for 3/2, so maybe not that good. It's fine. Wishing Well is a 4-mana artifact. You can tap it, put a coin counter on Wishing Well. You can do this immediately, by the way. Put a coin counter on Wishing Well. When you do, cast target instant or sorcery card with mana value equal to the number of coin counters on Wishing Well from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If this spell would be put into your graveyard, exile instead, activate only as a... This is good. This is very good. I know usually something like this would be like, oh, why would you play it in limited? Everything blue wants to do is about casting spells, and this just recasts spells at instant speed. Tap it whenever. This is. Oh, but it doesn't only activate only as a sorcery. Okay, maybe it's not as good. I still think it's fine, but it's not as good as I was hoping, because you can only do it at sorcery speed. I mean, maybe it's too good if you can do it at instant speed, but, like, come on. Wizards, you've released better cards than that. Go nuts with it. I don't know. I think this card is still good, though.